Okay everyone, back here on Project Whiteout. I've been doing a lot of fabricating on it. Been working on it here and there, and I've got a few things done on it, so I thought I'd do a little update here on it. I just unpackaged a package from A&N Performance out of Wisconsin. Got a couple U-bends here and a couple straight pieces of tubing here. And what I'll be doing with those is remaking the stingers on the pipes. And I got some weld-on tabs here, a little bag of them. Weld on to hook your springs to hook your pipes together. Nice little package there. And then these U-bends, I'll end up cutting like 90s out of them to create turnouts out of the side of the belly pan. And I might have to use a partial of this bend in here too for one of the stingers that has to make a pretty severe turn to get down and follow the belly pan right. So I'll just go over a couple things I've been doing here. Oh, one of them here is the skis. So I bobbed my skis down, made a little cardboard pattern. I cut the loops off first and then made a cardboard pattern of the end of the ski and then just slid the pattern down to where it kind of looked where I wanted it. And let's see, got a whole bucket of parts I've been cutting off this thing here. But so here's the ski tip that I cut off the end of it here. So that's how much I took off the end of the ski. And then shorten up the loop. I had to bend a little bit extra right here to get the loop to follow down right. And then I had to make a couple repairs on these skis too. These things are so tough to find now, especially in good condition. But there was a couple cracks here. The ends of the skis were wore through, so I patched in some sheet metal. I didn't drill the holes yet. I'm not sure what I'm going to run for a wear rod on them. They might be a Polaris wear rod. They might not be. I'll see what I come up with. But I want like at least a 6-inch carbide here on this sled because I'm going to run quite a few studs in it too. So there's the skis. I got those done. Got the springs all blasted here, ready to go. A bunch of parts here. Here's the old stingers sitting here. And I actually increased, see, these are a 1-inch stinger on them. And when I talked to Ian over there, they recommend to go to 1 1/8 inch. And he says he's even gone to 1 1/4 inch. And that's to help get some of the heat out of the engine on these. The 1-inch, more for drag racing. Get some compression built up in the engine. But this one's going to be more of a trail ride, have fun on sleds. So we're going to increase the size of the stingers a little bit. Here's my bucket of parts and whatnot I've been cutting off. Oh, here's that template I made of the end of the ski. So I just traced it on a piece of beer box, Ham's Light beer box. Just I have them around here once in a while. So slid it down the ski, traced it like I said, cut it out the plasma, ground the ends nice. So that's all done. What else have I been doing here? I got these toe loops done. See, I had to do one on the passenger side, or the right-hand side over here, to be able to get room for the stingers to come through there. So I cut some aluminum tubing, TIG welded it all together, made some tabs there to mount it to the edge of the steering post. I'll come back over this side. So I made one for this side too, just to kind of duplicate them. I probably really didn't need it, but I incorporated it to hold the top edge of the belly pan here. So I welded a tab on there to hold the belly pan, where the tab used to be on here. But being I flipped this thing around, I would have had to cut the tab off or bend it around to get to here. So I just decided to make another loop for this side. And it kind of helps. What I'm thinking is I'm going to help maybe rivet the belly pan into the tubing here then too. And then when I had the belly pan off, let's see if I can get in here. There's a piece of 1/2-inch aluminum rod that I pounded down the whole length of the edge of the running board on these things were kind of weak. So by pounding that down, I always do that on all my sleds when I restore them or modify them, whatever. But you can see it sticking out the end right here because I drove it all the way down through the running board. And it really helps add a lot of extra strength to these running boards by doing that. And then I just ran it long because I knew eventually I was going to do these hoops, so that way I have a spot to weld it to, and once I pull the glass pan back off, I'll be able to finish welding all this, and then I'll probably trim that excess rod off then. A few of the other things I've done, I've got the steering post all done. It's a stock TX steering post, and then this is a late 80s, maybe early 90s Indy top section here at the adjustable neck, so you can adjust your handlebars at what plane you want them. And what I did was heat up the post here and bend this forward. After I cut this off the Indy, and then I kept bending the TX post forward until I got it kind of where I wanted it, and it kind of pushes, you know, my whole theory on this sled is I'm going to push the driver forward into it. That's why the tank's so far forward. The seat's going to slide forward, so I slid the steering post forward also to kind of push everything forward on the sled. So I've done this once before. It works great. It gets you way front on the sled. So I got the steering rod done. What I like to do with the stock steering rod is I take aluminum tubing and I slide it over the top of the steering rod. I take the ends off, slide it over the top of the steering rod, and then I welded it to the end of the rod. And this really helps add extra strength to these steering rods, and these things are so flimsy. I mean, they bend so easy. So sliding that tubing over it gives it extra strength. It's a real easy thing to do. If you don't have aluminum welder, you can do this by cutting your tubing the exact same length as your rod, and then put a washer on, and then when you jam your nut on there, it's going to be pushed in, it's going to be forced together between your nut on either side with that washer, and so you don't even need to weld it. But I have a way to weld it, so I do. Sometimes I used to plug weld these, drill some holes and plug weld them, but the last couple I've done, I've just cut them a little short, so I'm able to just get a weld around the end, and I think that's fine myself. So I've got all the steering mocked in, and the spindles, everything's bead blasted, ready for paint. But I've just been kind of mocking everything together to make sure I got clearance on everything, make sure I got clearance underneath the pipe so I'm not rubbing anywhere. And I even got everything in over here, and I got the little guard going over top the steering arm on this side for the pipe to sit down onto. And then I've got all this stuff done down in here too. You can see I added a whole nother gusset in here down the whole side of this sled over here, just to add extra strength to it. I welded it all the way around. I kind of skip welded it down in there, but then I also put some rivets through the bulkhead into that plate to help sandwich everything together, because as you can see, I had to notch this all out down here for the recoil and stuff on this 650. So just to kind of help make sure everything's nice and strong. Again, I add that gusset. I've done it on other sleds, and I think it works great. So I did it again here. I don't know if I can get some of this stuff down here. I drilled some holes down below. Yeah, well, I can't get down there, but I'm going to mount the ignition box down below so you don't even see it. A lot of times they're mounted right up in here, but I'm going to mount it down below, down here, so you don't see it. If it has an ignition problem, it's not critical to get to it fast like the racers would have, so I'm going to kind of hide it so you don't see it. I did weld a couple gussets in right here because I cut all this aluminum off over here that used to hold the air box and stuff. So I trimmed all that down, welded these couple gussets in, and then I decided to add this plate here to mount the fuel pump to. So I probably didn't need this gusset up here, but it's fine. It ain't gonna hurt being in there already. So, but that'll really help, you know, strengthen up this edge over here at that jack shaft bearing. So the fuel pump will mount right there. I had somebody send me a bunch of pictures of one of these 74 Michigan Enduro sleds, and that's where they had their fuel pump mounted. So I thought it'd be neat to kind of duplicate that. I did a little polishing on the chain case cover here. That's about as shiny as I can get it. I'm not a polisher, so I was pretty happy with what I came up with here, but it looks kind of neat. I'm gonna do some ceramic coating and stuff on this sled. Pipe's starting to get ceramic coated. I had to do a little bit of heat and hammer work here to get clearance on the hood. So I had to kind of ease that. It looks probably worse on this video, but you know, I only worked it down maybe 3/8 of an inch in this area to get a little extra clearance on the hood. The last one I did, I didn't give a lot of clearance, and I bubbled my paint right away the first ride. So a sponsorship sticker ended up going in that spot, and some heat tape underneath. Lesson learned. So I'll give myself a little bit more room by easing this pipe down. And they've had to do it, you know, back in the 70s when they built these sleds anyways. And I don't think they really took their time. They realized the hood wasn't fitting right. They got anything in their hand, started wailing on the pipe, and called it clearanced. So once they're ceramic coated, I hope everything looks good here. I had to kind of do it down in here too, between the two pipes. I just had to kind of get this top one dropped down. But this is where the one stinger is, where I might have to use some of that bend, because it's going to come down here and it'll come out the side of the belly pan down in here somewhere. And then these back two are going to come through this foot stirrup and tip right out the corner right here. This thing's going to be obnoxiously loud, but it'll be cool. So this is how I did. What I ended up doing was drilled a new hole down a little bit further because the steering support bolt was up here, but that's just happened to be where my rod came in at, so I just made a bracket, moved the bolt down, so that's bolted on, so you can still take this out. That'll be welded to the chassis. That won't ever come out again. So, but that is working out pretty good, I think. And the tank, I think I'm gonna end up ceramic coating this tank into a silver, kind of give it that chrome effect. Done it on some of my other parts before, and after the guy rolls them in his tumbler, they come out pretty close to chrome, so I think that might be a little jazzy to have on the sled with the dark blue tunnel, blue and white hood, you know, chrome tank. It'll just spell fast, I'm thinking. So I haven't really cleaned up much of this up here yet. I was waiting for that stuff to come from Ann to start finishing the pipes in case I had to cut any of this back apart to rotate anything. So that'll be after I get my stingers built and seems like everything's going good there, then I'll finish up that stuff there. So for now, I think that's about all. Oh, hey, I got something here to show you. Check these things out. Hang on. So these are V-finned cooled heads. These are what are going to be going on it. So I just got these in a couple weeks ago. So I got to send them out to get them machined, but there'll be a right and a left and a center here. So these babies will be on there. These will just be massive. So I got all three of them sitting here. So they're just kind of roughed in on the bottom. So what you got to end up doing is having the combustion chamber cut on them. So I'll send them out, get those done, and then they'll cut, you know, the sides off for a right and a left, and they'll cut two sides off of one of them for a center. So those will look pretty massive on there. They'll make a statement, that's for sure. So I don't know. I don't think I have much else to show you right now. Got a track pulled out. I got a cleated track sitting out for it now. I've been looking at trying to get studs for it. 750 T-nut style studs are impossible to find these days. This is about the height that my foam will be once I get it cut. About 3 inches. Gets you sitting on the sled nice. There's the seat foam I'll be using. I'll be cutting it way down. I'm going to send it to an upholsterer and have them cut the foam down for me. So that's what I got for now, guys. Sorry running a little long, but I just had a lot of stuff I wanted to show you. I've just been kind of laxed on getting the camera out here and getting videos going on it. So I kind of did a bunch of stuff, and I wanted to get this all documented before I moved on any further. So next video, the pipes will be done. I'm sure I'll have the skis on. I'm going to make some aluminum ski mounts. It'll be pretty trick. There'll be the shock holder, ski mount combo deal. I'm going to make them all out of aluminum. I just picked up some flat aluminum here today to do them. So enjoy the video. Please comment if you like it. If you don't, tell me what I can do better. Subscribe, pass it on, you know, all that fun stuff. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.